What is the strangest thing a person has done to you on a first date? Went to a bar. The conversation with him was a bit dull and just me constantly asking questions about himself or trying conversation starters, anything, so that we weren't two people sat in awkward silence. After a few drinks I needed to use the bathroom, and when I came back he needed to as well. Whilst he was in there the few people left in the bar, only about 5 people not including barman, told me that whilst I was in the loo he had been bragging to them about how he was going to sleep with me when we left the bar. Not sure what annoyed me more, the fact that I had spent most of the date trying to drag any conversation out of him, yet when I wasn't around he was a chatty bugger to complete strangers, or the fact he assumed wrongly that after a dismal date I was going to sleep with him after our first meeting. Either way, I was grateful for those strangers. Well, first one asked if I wanted to have a kid with him, second one cried, BC he accidentally spilled his drink on me, and third awkward time was when he brought a suitcase thinking he was going to stay the night at my house. Apparently 3 different people, mind you, not all the same psychos. He emailed me later that night and said I love you. An email. This was in 2014. This woman I dated very briefly cooked fish one day, then she put it in the freezer. I wasn't there when she did this. Her roommate was an experienced chef and warned me to not eat the fish because it's not supposed to be frozen twice. Not sure why. She didn't explain why. Sure enough, my date pulled the cooked fish out of the freezer and reheated it for me. I didn't want to be rude, so I ate it. 30 minutes later I was puking my guts out in her bathroom. It was a guest bathroom, so there was no toothpaste. So I cleaned my mouth with soap and water. I didn't have the heart to tell her what happened. Tried to kiss me and licked the back of my teeth. I was in my mid-30s. Someone offered me meth on our first date. I'm not great socially on the best of days, and I was flustered as I boldly replied I don't think my mom would approve of that, and left. He probably thinks I was the strangest interaction too. Went to Dave and Buster's. He walked around with his hand on the back of my neck the whole time and kept trying to push me into game booths to make out. I unfortunately allowed him to drive me, so when we got home, as I went to jump out of the car he asked if I was going to invite him in, and I said no. He told me he didn't understand because anytime he was horny the girl was horny too. I took this as my cue to absolutely run because he started to get loud. Brought his mother because she was in town. Told me to wear this green dress he bought. Turns out it was his ex-girlfriend's dress. For reference, we look very similar. Also, his ex is dead. Showed me multiple pictures of his ex asking if I thought she was pretty or cute. This guy was obsessed with his ex, to say the least. Not what he did but what he said. He went on and on for about 45 minutes about how one woman he dated had the biggest tits he'd ever seen. He wouldn't stop. That was a new one for me. In fairness to him, they were the biggest, lol. Committed a hit and run. Asked for the money back on his dinner investment. The date didn't go too badly, but I wasn't feeling any potential romantic interest, and there were a few things about him that struck me as odd. After dinner the bill came. I offered to pay half, but he just waved it away and insisted on paying it all. Walked me back to my car and tried to hold my hand, but I didn't let him. Thanked him for dinner and told him I had a nice time, but wasn't interested in pursuing anything more. Seemed to take it well. The next day he messaged me telling me I needed to send him a check for the amount wasted on me at dinner, because I apparently gave him false hope. What an asshole. Not only is asking for a refund on a date just absurd, the fact that he wanted me to mail him a fucking check, which obviously has my full name, address, and banking info on it. Instablock. She choked me with her scarf at the bar and asked, "Do you like that shit, bitch?" We went to an arcade. He destroyed me on every game, except, surprisingly, one where you had to punch a bag. I did way better than him and he was trying to hide that he was upset, haha. Never saw him again, but that was mostly because he only asked me questions, but never answered mine in the text conversations to follow. Brought me back to her place. Then made me watch Faulty Towers to get her in the mood. Then gave me a BJ. Pulled out a cat-themed deck of tarot cards and audibly meowed. My first date is a recently out gay man. Over a decade ago my date was not out and he thought he saw his stepbrother walk into the sushi restaurant we were at. He ran to the bathroom. 5 minutes goes by and he calls me to tell me he thought he saw his relative. He asked me some questions so I could look around and see if he really was in there. I calmly told him we could just say we were friends if he runs into anyone he knows. He came back out after about 20 minutes. It turns out his stepbrother was not there. He was just in his head about it. It breaks my heart a little bit looking back on it. Handcuffed to the bed, best date of my life. When we said goodbye, he grabbed my arm and pulled me in to sniff my hair. "You smell good." Like WTF,